Let me ask you a question. Do you remember the very first time you bought a Yu-Gi-Oh! Booster pack? I do. I must have been 10 or 11 years old. Prior to living in Austria, I had only known Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards in their visibly unofficial form sold in Chinese shops all around Bosnia. Wrong card texts and images included, of course.
Sabre.
Thus, you can imagine that opening my first real booster pack came with a variety of intense emotions. The thrill and excitement of relentlessly talking my parents into spending $30 on a few dozen pieces of cardboard, and the heart-wrenching disappointment of not pulling a single card I had wanted. Anyhow, the damage had been done. Konami had screwed me over. Me, an innocent child far too young to comprehend the cruel ways of this fast-paced capitalist world. So I vowed to take revenge. Someday, I would no longer bow to corporate greed. I would reclaim my destiny and abolish the ways of hyperconsumerism once and for all. And that day has come. Today, I will beat Yu-Gi-Oh! GX Tag Force 2 without buying a single booster pack. Alright, if you're not familiar with this game or this series of games at all, this is one of many PSP exclusive Yu-Gi-Oh! Titles where tag dueling is the name of the game. Quite literally. I already covered this game as well as its prequel in separate videos, so if you want my extended thoughts on this incredibly interesting Yu-Gi-Oh! Game, make sure to check out my last upload. Anyway, even during the first Tag Force game, the feature I had always loved the most was the card shop. A way for young, unemployed 10-year-old me to revel in the excitement of Yu-Gi-Oh! Pack opening extravaganzas, and best of all, if you hadn't pulled what you wanted, you could just save scum and get your money back to try it again immediately. Gotta teach him young, right? Jokes aside, it was a lovely feature. The visuals, the sounds, the excitement of unlocking new packs, the shops in these games were simply brilliant. Naturally, the progress in this series is typically accompanied by buying new cards. Cards that, ideally, would match the strategy of your Tag Force partner, who, as a renowned student of the elite dueling academy, surely knows how to play the game properly, right?
Okay, Cyrus is a moron.
But what if you refuse? What if you face the challenges of world-threatening supernatural forces, power-hungry maniacal child abusers, and, worst of all, academic bureaucracy, only using the cards God handed you upon creation? Well, how about we find out?
I have a PhD in dueling. I've earned the title doctor, thank you.
In order to tackle this challenge properly, we need to identify what it means to beat Tag Force 2. Now, I have already attempted the same challenge for the first Tag Force game, and while I'm not gonna spoil any results from that video, it is important to state a few major differences between the original game and its successor. In Tag Force 1, there was a main campaign with 3 segments that you could clearly and visibly beat. Part 1 was acquiring a potential partner for the tag tournament, Part 2 was winning said tournament, and Part 3 was a gauntlet of challenge duels, including a boss fight at the very end. Tag Force 2 abandons this concept in favor of a system that has no single main campaign, but rather small story campaigns for all available characters. These campaigns consist of short events that happen during the relationship building of a partner you choose at the very start, and while the main characters have a few special events tailored to their own character arcs and plot involvement, the first half is the same for basically all of them. That being said, the list of available partners is not particularly long on a fresh save file, so we'll have to choose the best option from these few familiar faces. Afterwards, we will fill up the relationship gauge and complete all of the 8 story events, rolling the credits and technically beating the game. However, since these tend to be on the not so difficult side, generally speaking, there is something far more challenging in this game worth considering for today's challenge. Tag Force 2 features tag dueling tournaments every in-game Sunday, and unlike the first game, there are multiple difficulties of tournaments, starting with Slifer Reds and moving all the way up to the championship tournament. This particular tournament is packed with main characters who, aside from their rather questionable archetypes in general, tend to play tons of great support cards such as Mirror Force, Snatch Steal, and so on. All that wonderfully annoying stuff, you know. The Obelisk tournament is usually also nothing to scoff at, and if we want to really test the power of our starting deck and my limitations as its pilot, we'll just have to try and fight our way through all of these tournaments with our beloved partner of choice. Speaking of which, if you've been watching the GX anime back in the day, you might remember that most of these duelists do not have a particularly amazing track record of, actually winning duels. But that doesn't matter, now does it? What matters is if our vibes match, and in the world of Yu-Gi-Oh! That means finding out whether our decks synergize well with each other. For this purpose, how about we take a look at our deck first? So, the first Tag Force had us face the evilest of evil villains using the vast depths of the ocean, but this time, things are much more grounded. Get it? Okay, I'll stop. We have a more Earth-based deck here, but sadly it's not centered around the Earth attribute at all. It's mostly a somewhat random assortment of monsters that happen to share the same attributes while keeping the synergy between each other to an absolute minimum. Great. We have a few flip effect monsters, some old school normal monsters, freaking enraged Muka Muka. Actually, if you have a giant rat to bring it out, it's not half bad. And thank the ancient Egyptian gods, we do have giant rat in this deck. Well, one copy of course, because what kind of loser deck would play its only search option more than once, am I right? There are some decent back row cards here, like Dust Tornado and Compulsory, but there's also quite a lot of nonsense. It's safe to say that our chances at finishing this are quite a bit lower this time. Now, since our deck does not follow any particular winning strategy, we are best advised to pick a partner that will carry us with their own raw power straight to the top, and I think I got just the right candidate for us.
Hasselberry, wash my PJs, huh?
Yes, of course it is our beloved Tyranno Hasselberry. The name is already incredible, what could possibly go wrong? Tyranno plays dinosaurs, and his deck is actually not half bad. Some good level 4 beat sticks, nice options to bring out boss monsters quickly, you get the idea. If we play our more defensive monsters right, we can possibly even enable him to perform strong tribute summons early on, thus playing tag duels in an actually productive teamworkish manner. That would be great for a change.
Cyrus is the moron, but we knew that. It's nothing new, really.
Either way, he's clearly the best choice. Look, Jaden plays Neos in this game, which gotta be one of the worst archetypes in Yu-Gi-Oh! History. My god, how is this so freaking bad?
Insane, garbage archetype.
Cyrus is raw yellow now, so you might expect him to be better at the game, but if you want to see something really fun, go to my channel right now, check the streams I did a few months ago beating this game with Cyrus as a partner, using his joke of an archetype, and have a laugh. Seriously, take the opportunity and watch me suffer. Alexis is kinda meh, not too bad, but very specific with her not that strong strategy. Chaz is a bit similar, absolutely zero synergy for us here. Our internationally acclaimed professional duelist Asta here plays pure D heroes, so no need to elaborate further. Lightsworns were not released when this game was made, so Blair's still playing whatever that is. And look, Jessie is really cool and I love Crystal Beasts in general, but there's no way we can make it work with our deck here. So Tyranno it is. Alright, Dino and his dino friend against the world. Haven't heard that joke in a while. The first step in our journey is to obtain the cards we can find around the island to see if we can make use of any of them. In Tag Force 2, cards can be found all over the map in specific spots, and we do not have to spend a single dime doing that, so it's all fair game. What's pretty cool about this new little scavenger hunt is that the cards usually match the areas you find them in. You know, Oja Muscle in Chaz's room, Mystic Walk in the kitchen, you get the idea. I do make sure to get all of them, just in case we might miss something nice, but to be completely honest with you, I'm not too sure if we'll be able to put many of them to good use. Near the end of this unexpectedly long collectathon, Sunday rolls around. I think it's time to test our dueling prowess before tinkering with the cards God has handed us at birth. We take this opportunity to work on our tournament side quest immediately and participate in the Slifer Red one. Gotta beat that one first in order to unlock the next, of course. Joshua and Alvaro will serve as our first victims, but caution, Joshua plays 6 samurais, and if I recall correctly, they're not completely ass, I think? Whatever, one nice synergy we have with our partner becomes obvious very quickly. Tyranno also plays Giant Rat, and since most of his dinosaurs are Earth attribute as well, we can also use their dusty, rotten corpses to summon our Rock Spirit. Wonderful. Our Ground and Pound works wonders, and the Samurai don't stand a ghost of a chance.
You don't stand a ghost.
Do you guys even enjoy these references? I saw some people complain, but honestly I love the Abridged Series, so I guess I'm just gonna keep making them.
Oh my god, what's happening to my face?
First win in the bag, and the whopping 1000 DP we will not be able to spend on cards. Great, but at least we can buy 2 entire sandwiches with them. The economy is really in the gutter, isn't it? I wonder whose fault that is. Unfortunately, we lose the next duel, and even more unfortunate, I somehow missed to record this loss. Truly shameful, but we brush off the dust and continue our chase for useless cards. Afterwards, it's finally sandwich time, and if you're wondering why I started this game with 10 freaking thousand DP, I'll let you in on a secret. If you're on the main menu of this game, you can head over to the UMD recognition feature, and if you possess the first Tag Force game as well, you can swap in its disc in order to obtain a few goodies. Notably, you get the original 3 Egyptian god cards, which is incredibly cool, and you also get some money as a little heads up. We'll put this to good use and feed Dinosaur Boy over here. Now, which sandwiches do you think Hustleberry favors? Well, the answer might surprise you. If you check his profile in the partners menu, you'll find out that he has a very strong affinity towards fishing and all fish-related things. Does that make a whole lot of sense for somebody called Tyranno? Is that even his legal name? Well, I'll let you be the judge. Anyway, it ends up not really mattering for now, as even the fishiest of Tyrannos cannot withstand the impeccable taste of the legendary golden egg wedge. This thing fills up any heart immediately, so we can head into the first story event. The first part of Hustleberry's campaign is a nice little homage to a lovely little Season 1 episode. Back in the day, the Academy held its annual dueling festival where all of the students would appreciate the duel spirits by dressing up as their favorite monsters. Kinda like Halloween, just less spooky and with more card games. Last year, the spirit of Dark Magician Girl showed up in order to have a fun little duel, which she obviously lost, and now she's back for revenge, and by the time we arrive on the cliff here, she has already defeated 5 students in a row. Of course we're up to the challenge, and if someone desperately begs for another ass whooping, who am I to say no? This time, Tyranno is not allowed to join, so it's just us and our beloved, randomly assembled Earth monsters against the world. Great. Alright, so we start off surprisingly well. Our Berserk Gorilla deals a nice chunk of damage immediately, and during our next turn, I managed to flood the board using Rescue Cats, dealing even more damage and pushing Dark Magician Girl dangerously far. She wastes no time, of course, bringing out her Big Daddy Dark Magician, but a nice little creature swap is all we need to bring him to our side. This really goes to show how important it is to have basic, staple spell and trap cards in these games. One attack with this fella and we get to win. Easy start, right? I continued the force feeding session from before, but my many years of playing the game have taught me that obtaining more than 1 golden egg wedge per day is not possible, so I quickly abandoned this late night session and continued the next morning. Luck does not favor us this time, as I spent our entire inheritance without pulling a single golden one. Our savings were also just shy of filling up Tyranno's second heart with regular sandwiches, so we have to perform an emergency tag duel in order to continue feeding his insurmountable dino hunger. Unfortunately, I run into opponents who play floodgates such as Messenger of Peace and Level Limits Area B. We'll see a lot more of these later down the road, by the way. We try to squeeze out a win against these unfathomably annoying cards, but right now there's just no chance. After 17 turns, we're hit with a heavy storm, followed by a multitude of attacks that we just can't defend against, but there's no way we're letting these guys get away with that. Time for a rematch. At the start, it's looking promising. No floodgates so far, but one of our opponents keeps summoning Swift Birdman Joe, and after the 1,000,003 summon of this thing, it seems like we can't keep up with its 2300 attack points consistently enough. We take a much more direct loss, and I'm not gonna lie, this loss is even more humbling than the last one. Okay, third time's the charm. Tyranno summons his Dark Velociraptor turn 1, so we are not taking any prisoners this time, and Swords of Revealing Light can only delay the inevitable. Oh, but Snatch Steal on the other hand can completely and utterly screw us over. Great, just wonderful. We're hit with our own weapons, but can barely stay afloat. At this point, I'm so glad that I took the time to pick up all these cards around the island, as I did happen to throw some of them into my deck. I have summoned Skull in my hand, who has just enough attack to beat over the stolen Velociraptor. And what's that on the field? A Call of the Haunted? Alright, now we can actually... You're kidding, right? As I said, having the right support cards is everything. I keep us alive for one more turn with Thunder of Ruler, and Hustleberry does draw the Shallow Grave, which I believe he could have used to special summon a defense position monster from the graveyard, thus tribute summoning his ultimate Tyranno and winning us the board, possibly even the entire duel, but for some reason, he just doesn't. Now, the AI in these games tends to make rather questionable decisions sometimes, but maybe we just didn't have any proper targets in the graveyard left. Or maybe our opponent didn't, I have no idea. Either way, we get absolutely annihilated yet again. But hey, the absolute joke of a DP reward we got was just enough to put us in sandwich range again, and I pull a croquette sandwich, which our dear friend likes just enough to initiate the second story event. Lovely. The second part of this campaign has us visit the Ra Yellow Dome, where Crowler announces that he hates cats for some reason. He and Bonaparte also need to carry some boxes filled with God knows what, and wants us main character students to do the heavy lifting for them. Tyranno, the most muscular and most athletic out of all of them, refuses and wants to duel instead. I mean, sure, if that's what he wants to do, fine. Oh wait, Bonaparte wants to duel Cyrus, and what, Crowler wants to duel me? And it's not a tag duel? How does that make any sense? Didn't my partner just say out loud that he wants you to shut up and duel him?
Shut up and duel me.
I guess the highly knowledgeable Dr. Valiant Crowler knows which of his students have actually competent decks and which of them play cards they picked up off the ground. Okay, we can do this. Crowler is a bit of a tricky opponent if he can build his boards, but luckily the Ancient Gear field spell had not been released when this game came out, so we might have a solid chance. Fortunately, Crowler seems to have drawn a foul set of opening cards, so we just keep attacking with our level 4 monsters. I even almost end up summoning Enraged Muka Muka just for the heck of it, but I hold back in the last moment. Let's just try to win this nice and clean, and, well, that's exactly what happens. 855 DP, so 1.5 sandwiches is what we get. Fantastic. How about we just spend them right away? Even if we don't pull Tyranno's favorite flavors, he's still getting a free meal, so what's the worst thing that could happen? Oh wait, what the actual fuck? What's this supposed to mean? When I fill it up again, do I have to do the second story event again? The same thing? There's no way, right? Thank goodness we have the mighty powers of save states on our side, so let's just all collectively forget this ever happened. We continue our pursuit and attempt the Slifer tournament again. We get a couple of wins under our belt, but ultimately this alien fairy combo stops us in our tracks. If we keep losing to decks like these, we will have a rough time in the later tournaments. If we even get that far, of course. Well, at least we earned enough DP to continue on the Hustleberry relationship front. A few fishy sandwiches in, I managed to pull the Golden Egg Witch again, saving us a lot of time and money. I'm ready to jump into the next story event immediately, however the moment we leave the shop, I'm reminded that we are in a school/university or whatever the hell this is supposed to be, and as such, it's now time for the legendary Tag Force 2 exam. Did I mention these yet? In the first Tag Force game, these did already exist, but they were just a dialogue type predetermined short questionnaire followed by a regular duel. Now these exams are real-time quiz games where no questions are predetermined. They're also timed and heavily reward you for getting long chains of right answers. Honestly, I love this minigame. It actually tests your game knowledge and adds a nice little twist to what's typically an unavoidable, monotonous formula in most Yu-Gi-Oh! Video games. Lovely. I do hit a wrong answer in the beginning. Shame on me for not guessing that a card featuring multiple prominent female monsters would be called Hysteric Party. What a fumble on my part. I do follow up with a perfect streak of 48 answers, and we rack up a solid 1,516 points. Now, when you finish one of these exams, you can choose one of multiple rewards offered by Crowler, and the higher your overall score, the more options are available. In order to get the I want to really strengthen the bond with my partner rewards, which fills up half a heart immediately, we would need 1,600 points, but no worries, our current score is only the theoretical part. If we win the follow-up test duel, we get another 500 added to our score. On the flip side, we just filled up the third heart with the Golden Egg Witch, and we haven't beaten the third event yet, so we wouldn't be able to gain any relationship gauge anyway. And since we already have more than 1,100 points, I'm pretty sure that the 5,000 DP reward is already unlocked. We duel against Adrian Gecko and Jesse Anderson, and this reminds me I really need to finish Season 3 of the anime. Been saying that for years, huh? I started watching it ages ago and I'm only like a handful of episodes in. By the time I might cover Tag Force 3, it'd be great if I knew who the hell Yubel actually is. Or who this guy is. Or this guy. You get the idea. This duel finally showcases some of the mighty dinosaur power in Tyranno's deck, and while our opponents are able to stall us for a brief moment, we are reminded just how bad these archetypes suck. Real bad. Particularly the Cloudians, it seems, so we managed to make quick work of them shortly after. As I just explained, we'll be going for the DP reward, since the relationship gauge is not a valid option right now. I even make the mistake of choosing it first, probably because I had forgotten that we're still missing the third event, but thank goodness for the mighty emulator and its miraculous save states. We travel back in time and do the one sensible thing. Pick the cash money rewards over genuine human connection. Wonderful. Exams finished, and now it's time for some story action. Oh look, it's the Gambler!
The Gambler. The Gambler, dude.
Wait a minute, did this guy even show up again after Season 1? Did they really bring him back? Or is this just a lousy attempt to stretch out this game's campaign by rehashing old characters and story conflicts? Oh well, either way, this dude's entire shtick is that he placed coin flip and dice roll cards, so no problem for us at all. Remember kids, the house always wins.
He'll summon it again, but... Oh no, the effect still goes through.
Okay, maybe not always, but this time we don't have to use one of the worst archetypes in probably all of Yu-Gi-Oh! Well, here we go. Of course, this guy will have cards that allow him to reroll for free if he doesn't like his results. That seems fair. And he also plays Floodgates. How nice is that? Okay, against my expectations, this combination of Floodgates stalling and slow coin flip burn damage wear down is starting to look scary. But it's okay, you know. We have our Blade Rabbit equipped with the Malevolent Nuzzler, and the Gambless monsters all suck, so no problem getting rid of them and attacking directly. He throws another Floodgate at us, but B-Rabbit over here is also under 1500 attack, so it's all nice and well. Now we can just sit back and watch as his life points melt. Oh, come on, are you serious? Okay, I don't think we have another monster that will fit the criteria from all of these freaking Floodgates, but I think it won't actually matter. Look at his pathetic LP count. And he's losing 600 every turn, so in just a couple of turns he's absolutely cooked. I can't imagine him dealing 7000 damage to us that quickly. But you know what he can do? He can, despite cheating both on the dice roll and the coin flip, still fail at the latter and defeat himself. With his own Abare Ushioni. Absolute cinema. This meme format is probably extremely outdated by the time this video comes out. 3 out of the way, and we're almost at halftime. But now it's sandwich time again, and even though it takes me burning through the entire 5000 duel points, I managed to pull another golden egg witch. Honestly, even though this is a pretty simple little minigame, you can realistically and reliably pull any sandwich that you want from the given rotation, and I love that. It's a tiny little bit of skill expression in regards to timing, which is something that Yu-Gi-Oh! Otherwise really doesn't have. And fittingly for our last opponent, it counteracts the core principle of gambling, since the rotations are outside of your control, but typically each of them has sandwiches that will be at least somewhat beneficial to all relevant partners. Except for Zane, motherfucker only likes sandwiches with cards inside them. Story event number 4 is finally a tag duel, and as usual, it's a slight alteration of events that actually did occur in the story. We faced the Paradox Brothers, and prior to my Gate Guardian challenge video, which you should most definitely check out by the way, it was quite the experience. I wasn't even aware that the brothers had a cameo appearance in GX. I always believed the games had just shoehorned them in, you know, because of tag dueling and all. Anyway, the reason we faced them in this game is because Bonaparte wants to destroy the Red Dome? Seriously? What would even be the purpose of doing that? Whatever. He rejects all accusations and wants us to duel 2 adult men who were previously hired to duel teenagers into submission and lead them into an inescapable death trap. Great idea, Vice Chancellor. Just look at this opening hand from Hasselberry. MST, Dust Tornado, and Giant Trunade. Messenger of Peace is immediately destroyed, love to see that, and my man even gets a lucky hit and pops a Solemn Judgment with Dust Tornado. Incredible. Naturally, my opening hand sucks, but we do have one not-so-great monster removal and creature swap at least. And the 1500 beat stick, I guess, so not too bad all things considered. But then again, things get spicy. Dox hits us with the Foolish Burial, Call of the Haunted combo. I appreciate the thematic consistency. And he brings out the strongest of the Guardian pieces, Sanga of the Thunder. Now, if I recall correctly, Hasselberry's Trunade would not destroy Sanga by bouncing Call of the Haunted, instead allowing them to use it again later. Luckily, I did set Creature Swap on my turn, so this problem is solved rather quickly. A few attacks later, and we almost get to win. Dox drops another Desperate Messenger of Peace, but hey, we still have that Giant Trunade, ridding us of this annoying piece of cardboard and securing our victory. What a great opener from Hasselberry for these opponents specifically. Alright, I continue pulling sandwiches, but this time I ran out of DP quickly. Atticus Rhodes happens to stand just next to the sandwich shop, so I decide to duel him solo. Well, I think I decided, but maybe it was also misinput. Actually, come to think of it, I don't think my starting deck here has much of a chance against such a renowned duelist, but I guess we're about to find out. Yeah, okay, 9 turns of ass-whooping later, and it's exactly as I'd thought. The fact that I went for the tag duel immediately after kind of tells that, indeed, it must have been a misinput. With Hasselberry's forces, we are able to establish a very strong board early on. Ultimate Tyranno is such a beast of a monster, and after a few turns, we get our revenge. Following the ecstasy of this win, I follow up with another tag duel against them, but these fellas are tough. We lose this battle, and I'm starting to think that our time is better spent on easy opponents. Where's Cyrus again?
I'm looking for someone more, well, someone I know I can easily defeat. And who would that be?
What's really interesting is that I encounter a random little event where one of the not-so-important Slifer Red students, Alvaro here, proposes a business idea. His request is a small loan of 20 freaking thousand DP, and as a return, he can use that money to buy training goods. You know, for dueling. Yeah, right, Alvaro is surely not an addict or something. Now, I don't know if he spent his life savings gambling at a card or sandwich shop, but quite frankly, in all my years of playing this game, I don't think I've ever given him the money, so I have no idea what really happens if you do. Sorry, Alvaro, I know the struggle. The dude behind me swallows sandwiches worth 20k in like 2 minutes. Anyway, getting humbled by Atticus before made me curious as to how powerful Tyranno's deck might be if he is the one dueling solo. Only one way to find out. I set him up against our dear Gillian, who's still rocking the starting deck from Tag Force 1. Love to see it. And well, what can I say, he doesn't stand a chance. Tyranno floods the field with his dinosaurs, and it's quite the sight. I'd love to do a dinosaur tag run in this game too, but there's hardly any challenge in that really. Maybe we just have to find a dinosaur challenge in a different game, perhaps? We duel Gillian and Rune here a few times for more DP, and while the payout varies a lot depending on the duel, we're basically guaranteed to win, making it an efficient farm either way. I spent all of it immediately on sandwiches, and by God, it came down to the absolute last sandwich I was able to afford. And you know what I pulled last? Fried fucking noodles, and guess who's not a big fan of these? The heart is still not full, so it's time to bring our game on. Time for the long-awaited rematch. Tyranno starts decently, but Jaden retaliates quickly. I creature swap, he mirror forces, Atticus attacks, but spends the last fuel for his Panther Warrior. What a stupid effect, by the way. Tyranno hammerheads, Jaden destroys it. I share the pain, finally getting rid of that 2k beatstick. But oh look, Atticus just whips out another. Tyranno blasts his Dark Triceratops on the field, but Mirror Force number 2 gets popped. I get the last turn to try and save this duel, but with Dust Tornado and Shallow Grave as my only weapons, I have to admit defeat. God damn it, they can't keep getting away with it. This battle is similarly fierce. Jaden opens with Pathfinder, Tyranno answers with Destroyosaurus plus the field spell, Atticus sets up back row, and I run into his Mirror Force immediately after. Jaden brings Neos back from the dead, but Tyranno just snatches him away. What a power move. Heavy Storm by Atticus kills that strategy quickly though, and we're on the back foot again. I set the 2k defense monster, saving us for now. Hassleberry brings out the ultimate Tyranno, clearing the board with ease, and it seems like our main characters over here have finally run out of powerful back row. Another turn passes, no damage dealt. Neos comes back, and Jaden forces our Tyranno in defense position. For the first time, he also brings out a Neos fusion, and Grand Neos can bounce one monster per turn, which would be our death sentence. But 2 people can play this game, Mr. Yuki. 1 compulsory, and that thing is gone. Would have happened anyway, am I right?
Garbage archetype.
Problem is, the effect of his Neos goes through. No idea if I just missed the timing, or if the effect happens upon summon, but at least both are gone now. Hassleberry is next, and he brings the Triceratops out. This thing almost wins us the duel with its piercing damage, but you cannot prevent the inevitable. A couple turns later, and we finally get to win on these guys again. Come to think of it, if we can beat these guys at least semi-consistently, we might have a shot at winning the championship tournament. Anyhow, Tyranno is happy, his 5th heart is full, and we advance to the next story chapter. Okay, this one is interesting. There has been one female Obelisk student in the first Tag Force game who happened to use dinosaurs as her archetype or strategy. Naturally, she's still present in this game, and this story event has us talk to her in order to obtain information on some legendary dinosaur cards that Tyranno is looking for. It's not particularly engaging, but it's character-specific plots like this one that help with the immersion in this game, no matter how insignificant they might seem. I like it. Of course, she has no idea, but the conversation quickly escalates into a conflict between Jules and Hassleberry. The former questions his knowledge about dinos as well as his deck, and he's totally not having it. Poor Andrea, she's just an innocent bystander like me, and now we have to fight too. Oh wow, what an opening hand! This is gonna be fun. Appropriate for the conversation that just occurred, Tyranno and Jules immediately go at each other after Andrea's rather modest setup. Well, I do happen to draw 1 monster card, so I just play that one. Why not? We Stimpack, Das Lacuda, and attack, but 2 back row cards cost us both of our monsters. Now Andrea attacks, but we bounce her Hammerhead. We already know just how annoying that thing can get. Finally, it's Hassleberry's turn again, and he has a freaking Snatch Steal as well as a Triceratops in his hand. Easy money, I would say. Wait, what the f did he just do? He passed the turn? What? Why? Why would you do that, you absolute... Well, folks, he just cost us the game. Just like that. Nice. Did I mention how stupid the AI in this game is?
Moron.
Is there an effect I missed preventing its activation or something? No idea, but this means that we lose, obviously. Let's try again. The rematch starts... not so well, but I have a few useful cards at least. We trade resources for a while, monsters get summoned, trap cards get activated, and so on. After both teams get quite low in DP, Tyranno uses his Destiny draw, but for some reason he has it set to the Shallow Grave. Weird choice, but he actually uses it on a useful target. Dark Cat with White Tail can bounce 2 opposing monsters in exchange for bouncing one of our monsters, and this is exactly what we need for Andrea's Triceratops and DD Assailant. The turn plays out, and we lose our entire board, but we're still alive with 800 DP in the tank. Stray Lamps keeps us alive for another turn, and Hasselberry whips out the Sabersaurus, but sadly it's just not enough. The Triceratops returns, and we fall. What a dramatic duel. Rematch time. Again, we trade resources as usual, but this time Hasselberry keeps us atop for a while and deals quite a bit of damage. 2 turns later though, he freaking bricks. Wow. Not that I had any big play to show for, but, you know, my deck actually sucks, so... Well, a couple more turns pass, but both our Thunder of Ruler and Snatch Steal are worthless. We lose, and again, to the Triceratops. Quite a card, isn't it? Okay, 4th time's the charm, or something. Just kidding, we lose on turn 10. To Vampire Lord, jeez. I know, it's starting to get ridiculous, but we can do it. I know we can. Now this has to be the attempt. We get a decent start, solid 2300 defense, Rock Spirit with Stimpack. The mighty Triceratops finally comes out and starts pounding us immediately, but would you look at that? It seems like when we beat the Gambler before, we took some of his gambling skills. We roll a 5, which is exactly what is needed to destroy Andrea's monster, and we can simply dish out direct follow-up attacks. Andrea, being the dinosaur expert she is, tries her best to put a halt on our dominance, and with Marshmallow on the board, she actually has a shot. And our starting deck is not necessarily equipped with great utility cards to help out in these situations. But you know what this trash-ass starting deck does contain? Freaking Shield Crush. Yeah, that's right, exactly what we need. Her Hammerhead is also no match for our own, clearly superior Hammerhead, and we finally take home the win. Andrea spits some very deep philosophical statements, to which Tyranno is clearly awestruck. They do become friends in the end, however the search for the legendary Dino cards continues. Lovely. I really like that. And the fight wasn't too easy either, nice story event. Now something unbelievable happens. First thing in the morning, we visit the sandwich shop, as you do, and the first purchase I make immediately contains the golden Eggwitch in the rotation. How crazy is that? I want to be absolutely clear that I did not abuse any save states in order to get the sandwiches I want, nor did I use any time alterations to have easier pulls. I specifically turn them off whenever the sandwiches pop up, so I want you to take a look at how focused I was to get this darn thing. But alas, I succeeded. Thank goodness, this means a lot less grinding for us. Time for number 6. So Hasselberry does not lead us to any special activity just yet. Sometimes it requires for the day to pass first, so we jump straight to bed. Sure enough, he's already standing in our room when we wake up. He really wants that legendary dino card, huh? So we're off to the forest, and then he starts to dig? With his bare hands? You know, whatever, none of my business. Oh wait, no it actually is, because after talking to our friends here, freaking Damon shows up, furious about our mistreatment of nature? Wait a minute, what? After living in the wild for months, he's never seen an animal dig around in the dirt apparently. Also, while we're at it, how many of the Season 1 gimmick episode characters have they returned for this? I mean, it's fun, I'm not complaining, but I'm curious. Also, didn't Damon leave the forest after losing that duel against Jaden or something? Is he still roaming around the forest playing dirt police or whatever, and all the authorities on the island are just cool with that? Okay, now that I'm reading this dialogue, even Jaden acknowledges how weird that is. Either way, Damon also proceeds to diss Hasselberry for his lack of drawing skills, for whatever reason, and Jesse chimes in as well, and yeah, that's the lineup for today's tag duel. Whatever. The fight starts off slowly. Level 4 monsters here and there, a few thousand points of damage, nothing crazy. Jassy attacks into our giant rats, and I'm finally able to make good use of freaking enraged Muka Muka. 2800 stats, not too bad. Triceratops joins our forces, and now we're basically unbeatable. Well, I guess one good Mirror Force could obliterate our entire board, but they don't have one available, and we win on turn 7. A nice change of pace. Only 2 more events to go, but the next day is Sunday, so we just have to check out the tournament, right? We're still stuck at Sly for Red, but maybe with all the experience we gathered piloting this deck, we can finally advance. The first duel goes well. No boss monsters from Tyranno, but we still managed to secure the win. After duel number 2, and God, I hate Fairy Box. Seriously, screw that card. This duel also takes quite a bit, but due to a lucky misplay of our opponent, we stay on top. 2 trap cards later though, and it looks a bit worse now. Luckily, our opponents are not smart enough to simply attack into our weaker defense position monsters, instead wasting their effects on back row removal. Well, good call on Tyranno's part. We get the win, and it's off to duel 3. And yet again, this one is pretty long. Shocker, I know. Bad hand luck has us only spamming level 4 or lower monsters, but for these guys, that's more than enough. Duel number 4 shows us what's possible when Hassleberry draws better. Wait, maybe he should have listened to Damon's advice after all. We crush these 2 on turn 9. Easy. The final duel starts a bit more back and forth. We do face a few stronger cards, even a Snatch Steal. Didn't know Slifer's had these in their decks. Interesting. And Labyrinth of Nightmares does make things quite difficult for us. Actually, the more turns pass, the worse and worse it gets, and suddenly we are on the back foot, only 200 LP remaining. Well, I do what I can to stay afloat, but then something strange happens. Our opponents clearly have the win on the board, but Tristan here refuses to attack with this 2200 beat stick, although their Labyrinth would completely nullify its negative effect immediately after. Strange, but hey, I'll take it. On my next turn, I can finally crush 2 of their strong beat sticks, even though our Berserk Gorilla is destroyed in the process. God, this Labyrinth, man. Just as things start improving, a Torrential Tribute resets the entire board. Hassleberry cannot play Premature Burial due to our limited LP, and if our opponent has even one single monster with 200 attack points, it's game over. Fortunately, he doesn't. 1 back row and the turn is passed. I draw freaking Rescue Cat, which puts me in a weird situation. I could use its effect, summoning 2 level 4 monsters and obliterate our opponent's LP easily. However, if even one of these gets destroyed by this ominous face-down card, we'll not get the win, and Rescue Cat's effect will destroy all remaining monsters, putting us at an incredible risk of losing again. Alternatively, I can use our own trap card here to tribute it and summon just 1 level 4 Earth monster, which cannot bring us the win now, but would stay on the field if things go south. To my surprise while watching this footage, I seem to have chosen the former strategy, but then it hits me. There's a third option. Use Rescue Cat to bring out 2 monsters, enabling the win condition, and should this one card cause any problems for us, like a Mirror Force would or a Sakuretsu Armor or whatever else, I can still use our trap card to remove one of these monsters and summon another one, escaping the effect of whatever our opponents might activate, while also not having to deal with Rescue Cat's aftermath. Brilliant, isn't it? Well, turns out the set card was a fluke anyway, so we finally get our hard-earned tournament win, 2,000 duel points, and the opportunity to participate in the Ra Yellow tournament from now on. Nice. But now it's sandwich time. It goes decently, but our DP is melting away quickly. I screw up a few pulls, and it takes almost the entire 8,000 points to fill up his heart. Doesn't matter, we're this close to the finish line. For event number 7, Hassleberry goes maybe a little bit too far and just starts digging up holes in the backyard of the Gullstorm? Jeez, dude. Surely nobody could take this for anything other than an innocent hunt for the legendary dino cards, right? Well, we are busted quickly and have to duel our way out. Our opponents play some kind of fire, burn deck, as well as monarchs, so not the easiest opponents. We do have solid opening hands though, and we can dish out a nice amount of damage early on. It seems like our opponents don't have a lucky streak, as we simply keep pushing a few more turns, and although we also dip quite low ourselves, we manage to snag the win first try. GG. That's almost 3 whole sandwiches. Or, well, more like 2.5. Man, the economy is really in the gutter, isn't it? Well, time to earn some cash then. Ra Yellow tournament, here we come. I have my doubts about how far we can push this side quest, but I reckon we should be able to come out on top here, eventually. Battle number 1, and we're starting off, well, not that great. No board control to speak of, but we stay afloat. It's not a fancy fight, but also not that hard. Number 2 starts off way more promising. We manage to pull a Gillosaurus Rescue Cat combo and flood the board quickly. We are almost interrupted by this stupidly annoying The Agent of Judgment Saturn nonsense, but alas, a heavy storm and Snatch Steal from our dear Hassleberry, and we're all good again. We win on turn 5, and this might have been the quickest win in the entire run so far, right? Amazing. Well, I hope you had fun with that, because the next duel turns out to go way longer. Like, we are 15 turns in, and after multiple bounce effect loops and floodgate attempts, we've barely made any progress in this duel. I could show you the entire thing, but what's the point really? Many turns of attacking into face-down defense position monsters with annoying effects. Later, Tyranno finally pops the Heavy Storm, saving us from being bored to death. Fatey here whips out the Dark Magician of all cards, but our ultimate Tyranno is simply too strong. We even have 2 in fact, so the next turn I attack with all of our might and win the duel immediately. Alright, 3 under our belt, just a couple more to go. We start off well, but this damn rune manages to summon Sacred Phoenix of Nethys, or whatever, on his first turn. Bastard. And you know what his partner does a turn later? He equips 3 equip cards to it, one of which being freaking United We Stand. Okay, we still got this. The flip bounce effect of our Dark Cat with White Tail will save us. Or so I thought at least, but there's one mistake I made, and it's one that all of you Yu-Gi-Oh! Enthusiasts will surely relate to. I did not read my opponent's cards. Like, come on. This Phoenix thing has piercing damage, and attacks right into Rescue Cats, almost destroying us in the process. Now you'd think, but Dino, you can still flip the cat during the next turn, bounce both monsters, and secure the win somehow, right? And yeah, well, we could do that, but what my dear partner Hasselberry here could also do is just keep it face down, sealing our fate for good due to another piercing attack right after. It seems like he also doesn't read card text. Wonderful. Yeah, so we'll just have to try next time, but at least there's a very good chance that we can reach the next tournament, and hey, that's good news. After buying a few more sandwiches, I realized that the next day has to be exam day, which means we're getting some fine dough. Dough for sandwich bread, obviously. Did I mention how much I like this little quiz minigame? Wonderful. I reach our desired threshold of 1600 points easily, but we also destroy our opponents, so there's that. In order to prevent myself from wasting money on bad sandwich pulls, I decide to go for the bond increase instead. Overall, I think you can get more out of the 5k even without golden egg witches, but the risk of failing is always there, and we're so close to the finish line already. But alas, we get a freaking golden egg witch in our rotation anyway, and you know what? I actually managed to pull the damn thing. Isn't this poetic? Save the best for the end. The final event is very similar for many of these main characters. There's always some very specific reason to head to the volcano, and this time it's Tyranno's Dino DNA leading us there. Then there's a tag duel showdown with other prominent faces, and this time it's Jim Crocodile Cook, love that name by the way, and Adrian Gecko, who, as I found out watching some of Season 3 recently, is way richer and comes from a way more prestigious family than Mr. Princeton here.
Gecko, top-ranking student at East Academy, voted richest, smartest, and most famous duelist in the country? What?
Anyhow, Crocodile Man has also been led to the site in order to pursue an important card for archaeology or whatever. Apparently his crocodile friend just smelled it or something. Of course, we are not letting him get away with it, so it's time to duel. Now, going off of my limited knowledge about the card game, I would assume that Tyranno's deck is powerful enough to defeat these losers easily, even with us as baggage. But let's see how we fare. The start is rather slow, we trade resources back and forth, nothing spectacular. At some point, Jim summons this freaking Sphinx flip effect monster, and for the love of me, we do not manage to beat over that thing for multiple turns. Eventually, Milus Radiant and its attack boost save the day, and the trading continues. Both teams are somewhat low, both boards get wiped on turn 16. Sadly, we run out of luck, and our opponents start chipping away at our life points in small increments, but since we simply do not draw any monsters, there's nothing we can do here. Time for a rematch. This one starts quite slow, we build a rather mid-board after the first turns, but it seems like our opponents don't have much to present in return. Luckily, we can beat over Jim's 2k defense monsters with our Gemini here, which likely saved us a headache or two. On turn 7, I popped the Rescue Cat to fill out the boards, as well as throwing the Stim Pack into the mix. Tyranno's previous Giant Trunade got rid of any potential risks that could have been placed here, and just like that, we attack with our entire army and end the game on turn 7. Okay, that was way quicker than I had expected. Sadly, there was no spectacular dinosaurs involved, just regular normal summons and a few spell cards, but hey, sometimes that's all you need. Our little story arc ends as Tyranno digs up this legendary card, only to find out that it is Jurassic Impact, a card he already owns. Jim keeps dissing him, which I find hilarious, but at this point I would have expected a heartfelt speech from Jaden Osiris about the fact that Hasselberry doesn't need a special legendary card, because him believing in his dinos is all he needs in order to win and have fun. But no, he legitimately just says that he'll keep searching for it, and that's it. We ran off into the sunset with these idiots, going God knows where to dig in the dirt for something that 100% does not even exist. And that's it. Can you beat Yu-Gi-Oh! GX Tag Force 2 without buying a single pack of cards? Yes, you absolutely can. But wait, what about our side quest? Okay, so since I streamed my Cyrus runs in this game a few months ago, I had lost the game save I was using for this challenge. After all, I recorded the gameplay for this challenge back in... oh damn, in March 2024? What the hell, man? That's ridiculous. Anyway, it's almost 2026 as of writing this, and a short correction from recording the script, it is definitely 2026 by now. So I hope you can appreciate my persistence here. Anyway, since I really want to find out whether we can reach, let alone beat the championship tournament in this game, I created a new save file again, chose Tyranno as my partner, and went on to pick up basically all cards around the island again. Then I created a new deck that will surely lead us to victory, and went off into the first tournament. Yeah, we gotta do all of it again. Huge disclaimer here, I will not use any save states in order to up my chances. If I lose one of the tournament duels, I'll start all over again, just as the game intended. I hope you can appreciate how much I'm gonna torture myself just for your entertainment. Did I ask you to like the video yet? Now's a good time. After pressing the like button on this video, we're jumping straight into the first tournament, and things are going well. I won't bore you with a recap of every single fight here, but what's really annoying about this game is that even the Slifer opponents start to whip out floodgate cards, and I'm so freaking over-dueling these stalling bastards. Okay, he stalls, but it's fine, we have board control, their LP is already low. We just need to wait enough turns, and then we can easily win. Oh my god, what the fuck did Hasselberry just do? Did you see this? Did you see this? They had 500 LP left. We would have won without doing anything, and he uses fucking Snatch Steal, the only card in existence that can sabotage our own win, and he uses it for fucking nothing? Have you ever seen a more stupid play in any Yu-Gi-Oh game ever? Alas, the duel goes on. I desperately wait on any back row removal, and it takes us to fucking turn 70 until I pull Das Tornado. But you know what happens then? Our opponent whips out this bullshit equip card, attacks with his 5300 attack monster, and almost deletes us in one attack. Great, Tyranno, just great. Thank goodness he also pulls a Dust Tornado, so we can blow this thing up too, but our board is almost destroyed and we have only 200 LP left. I played safe, not risking any battle damage, and using our ultimate Tyranno to clear the enemy boards. And if we can just survive one turn and attack again, we finally got this. But you know what happens then? Our opponent summons this alien monster that is way weaker than ours, attacks into it, but can you guess why? Remember all these alien counters he put on our monsters during these 70 turns? Yeah, it turns out our Tyranno has 4 of them, so this thing deals 400 LP effect damage to us, and that costs us the win. Let's do the whole thing again. Okay, this time we fight these two idiots first, and surprisingly Hasselberry makes a few decent choices, and we're able to score the win quickly. We clear the other Slifers kinda easily, and yeah, off we go to the Rayello tournament, right where we left off originally. The first duel is already another stall fest, but our opponent gets screwed over by their own partner this time, so it does not take that long to win. Duel number 2, and oh boy, it's another stall / slow burn or whatever type deck. 30 turns, lots of LP ups and downs, but we win. Duel number 3, and this is where I really notice how inconsistent both our decks are together. We lose, so time to do the Rayello one all over again. Surprisingly, this time the duels go much better, and after 5 relatively low-risk fights, we did it. The Rayello tournament is in the bag. Amazing. Now let's see how we fare against the Obelisks. Okay, so the Obelisks are truly a pain in the ass. You'd think that Slifers and Ras playing Stall and Floodgate decks was annoying enough, but do you know to whom I've been losing most of the duels to? To this abomination of a student playing freaking Final Countdown. Final Countdown! I also lost to the Destiny board deck, although it wasn't the actual win condition that made us lose. Still funny. And basically every other team in here, although to varying degrees. I'm really starting to feel like the Final Countdown dude is my worst enemy. Oh yeah, and his partner's deck is called Limited Fun. Are you f***ing joking? There have been so many infuriating situations against these guys, both because of their stupid decks filled to the brim with marshmelons, wabokus, and a million other cards that stall the game as much as possible. For a period, I just went into these tournaments simply to see if I can beat them first, and I rarely succeeded. Eventually, I had figured out which opponents were easier to beat than others. I could have just checked the deck level value that is literally displayed beside their deck name, but honestly I simply had not seen this until quite late into the process. Well, what can you do? At some point I started to grind the easy opponents first, and besides two teams having a level 7 and 8 and a level 9 and 10 deck respectively, most of the other teams were fairly beatable. Sure, a shitty opening hand on our part and a questionable decision by Mr. Hasselberry himself could always drive us off the cliff. But I managed to get a run where I had beaten all 4 of the easier teams, and now it came down to the final decision. Do we fight Marsha and Deezer, playing Horus the Black Flame and freaking Monarchs of all archetypes? No wonder she has the maximum deck level. Or do I try once again against my favorite dueling team of all time, Simon and Corey? Well folks, what can I say? As a 27-year-old man, my personality and character can be described by many words. But what I am especially is absolutely fucking resentful, so here goes. Oh wow, turn 1 and he immediately activates Final Countdown. You know what? Fuck you, Corey. The start is slow and tedious as usual, and the sheer amount of back row cards on our opponent is incredibly concerning. Luckily, our dear partner has Giant Trunade in hand, but as I have already learned in previous brawls, Tyranno is, for some reason, rather reluctant to activate the damn thing. No idea why, but if he keeps refusing to use it, we will absolutely lose this duel. Swords of Revealing, great, and I am not really drawing anything too useful. I whip out the Blade Rabbit so we can clear the board without attacking. Dark Magician of Chaos enters, but we have an answer for it. Now it's getting serious. Thank goodness Tyranno wakes up from his coma and uses both Blade Rabbit and Giant Trunade at a wonderful time. Then he summons his ultimate Tyranno and starts blasting. If we can just get one big attack off next turn, we will actually win this duel. Honestly, I can't believe it's happening. Corey, that little weasel, has only 2 cards in hand, but oh my fucking god, one of them just has to be Messenger of Peace. Are you kidding? We can still attack with our monsters, mind you, but it won't be enough to win, and God help us if his partner whips out even more nonsense on his turn afterwards. I've seen this go down one too many times. I need to draw something. Heart of the cards, please lend me your mighty ancient Egyptian powers of the last minute ass pull. We could really use a miracle now. And peeps, you know what I got? It's freaking Giant Rat with its perfectly calibrated 1400 attack points. Take that, Corey, you slimy little bastard. 2 attacks and we finally win. This is it. The Obelisk Blue tournament is done. People, we did it. Time for the ultimate test, the championship tournament. Since I'm fairly familiar with the teams, I think we'll tackle what's probably the toughest first, Jaden and Axel. The duel is quite the amazing back and forth. Jaden opens strongly, but we're able to retaliate, and in the end it really comes down to the last resources on both teams, but we prevail. Alexis and Jim on the other hand are no match for us. They fall relatively easily, and next up I choose Bonaparte and Wade, as the latter plays a burn deck that can turn really nasty in very few turns. And yeah, sadly, this is exactly what happens. Not even a few turns into his burning strategy and we're cooked. Lovely. But hey, that was an amazing first try. I might consider dueling the other 2 teachers instead next time, since we might be able to deal with them a bit more easily. Countering Wade's burn damage requires a fast-paced rushdown strategy, and God knows we're not good at executing such. Alright, attempt number 2, and I'm straight off to try these 2 guys. One of them plays a ton of counter traps, but we still managed to deal a lot of damage early. A few brawls later, and we managed to regain board control. The duel is a surprisingly nice back and forth, and if I wasn't so eager in winning this stand thing, I might have been able to enjoy it a bit more. In the end, we get a relatively stress-free win, and what a great kickoff to this attempt. Alright, next up are Jaden and Axel, and god damn it, Jaden always manages to open at least decently. Probably because he's not playing Neos.
Garbage archetype.
Both the openers are a bit scary, but nothing we can't stall for a few turns at least. Luckily, I draw my compulsory this turn, because Brody slaps his volcanic Doomfire on the board immediately after. If I wasn't able to bounce it immediately, we would have likely lost here. A few more turns pass, all of our hands are getting slimmer by the seconds, and while Skycraper's presence is still very annoying, we can beat over Jaden's heroes with Summon Skull, the absolute early Yu-Gi-Oh! GOAT, regaining the control over the duel. Again, a tough but very rewarding back and forth match which we ultimately end up securing for ourselves. Lovely. People, this might be the run. This might actually be the run to finish it all, but let's not celebrate too early, as many things can still go wrong. Alexis and Jim sometimes surprise you with a strong fusion or ritual summon, but we get the ultimate Tyranno early, and even Dakini is not strong enough to stop it. However, it is here that I, the actual human player, make the dumb mistake this time. Do you know which cardinal sin I commit here? Want to take a guess? I did not bother to read all card text from my opponent, and I attacked into Dakini with our Tyranno, unaware that their other monster reduces its attack points by exactly 300. If it was any more than that, we would have probably lost this duel right here, but thank goodness it was at least a draw I attacked into. I even panic-checked Dakini's effect for anything I'd forgotten. But yeah, it's my bad for not being familiar with freaking Soul of Purity and Light. Yeah, or at least for glancing over its effect too quickly. Anyway, after crashing our Tyranno into Dakini, the field is a bit less volatile again. Alexis's stupid Floodgate cards slow things down in general, so we have time to build us back up. Luckily, our Dark Triceratops deals piercing damage, so we're not too stunned by the attack limitations of a card, and a few more turns later, we can deal the final blow. That was a close call, but 3 down, only 2 more to go. The further we get into this tournament, the more nervous I become. I was very lucky to beat the 2 profs as well as Jaden and Axel this quickly and on, well, basically the first attempt of this strategy, so we really need to savor the moment. For our next match, I choose Jesse and Chaz, and would you believe it, this is by far the fastest victory we've had in ages. Maybe even for the entirety of our Tag Force 2 endeavors? Well, yeah, okay, it's a tie at turn 5, but still, 2 turn 5 wins? You know, watching back this gameplay, I can't even write these 3 sentences before the duel ends, so we head straight into the 5th and final duel of the day. And if you've seen any of my Tag Force 2 streams from last year, you know just how fucking poetic our last opponent is. Cyrus, my man, long time no see.
Moron.
How you doing, buddy? Still barely holding it together as a raw yellow? Yeah, that's what I thought. Now, these clowns are surely among the weakest of the championship tournament opponents, but I have lost some unfortunate matches to them in the past, so I will still be careful. On the other hand, I know how Cyrus uses the cards he's been dealt, both in the game and in life, so I kinda think we got this one. Alright, Field Spell and Beat Stick for starters, and the opponent has no good answer. Another Beat Stick, and we deal good damage. Still no proper response from our opponents, and our field is getting fuller and fuller. Turn 6 has Cyrus use one last Desperation Snatch Steal, but Tyranno does not even bother to solemn it, which is the right decision. Just a few moments later, it is my turn, and sweet, sweet Cyrus, does it feel great to utterly annihilate you in this final tag duel. Hammerhead crashes into the gorilla, bouncing it off of the field. Sabersaurus destroys their face-down monster, and Gillosaurus has the honor of the final attack. Can you beat Yu-Gi-Oh! GX Tag Force 2's Tag Duel tournaments without buying any cards whatsoever? Beating what's essentially the most difficult obstacle in this entire game by far? Yes, you absolutely can. No save state abuse, no cheating, and not even editing our partner stack. Hasselberry does not even have a single heart filled, which goes to show how little he cares about the monumental achievement we just earned, but alas, we finally did it. Folks, thank you for sticking with me until the end. This was a wild ride that started all the way in March of 2024, and look where we are now. It's over 2 years later. And we have over 6,000 subscribers, can you believe it? Huge thanks to anybody who contributed, and more videos are coming soon, so make sure to stay subscribed, hit the bell, and tell me what kind of video you'd like to see next. Until then, take care.